I thought long and hard about doing this video blog post, and I really think about what we inherit in the workplace. And I use those words very carefully. We do inherit people in the workplace. When people apply for our companies and they come work for us, we kind of inherit things. We inherit their childhood, we inherit their history, we inherit their former relationships with bosses, but we inherit some things, right? And I think about kids, and I've used this analogy a lot in a lot of my writing and a lot of my books and a lot of my videos, that I've coached volleyball for 30 years on and off. And I think about when I coach kids, I don't just coach to win. I coach them to understand how to be good teammates, how to accept feedback. I ask my kids to give me feedback as a coach so I can help them find their voice. And I use these strategies very strategically. And for the most part, I've had very, very few losing seasons by not stressing winning at all costs, but getting them to see things from a different perspective. The other cool thing that we've done is we've actually taken high school players and turned them into coaches and given them a taste of leadership and coaching and, running a match and dealing with situations and really helping them see things from a different perspective. So this past weekend, my wife and I were watching the documentary on the recruiting scandal with a lot of Hollywood's kids, and not just their kids, but financial people, and how they paid to get their kids into colleges. And I think about that, and I would love your opinion. I want to really get a good conversation going with this video post. Think about kids in high school. Think about kids who get into college, and I'm not against formal education. I want to make that very clear. But do kids get taught? Do they receive instruction on the value of feedback? See, most of the time, people think about feedback in terms of, do I agree or disagree with it? Should I accept it or should I just dismiss it? Why would that be? Well, my parents told me that the coach wasn't very good. My parents also told me, by the way, the ref kind of robbed you. Guess what? That's life, right? We inherit that. Now, the second thing is, we also deal all the time in the workplace with attitudes. So think about attitudes for a second. When have we ever taught people how to have a positive attitude, how to fuel your mind positively, how to get up and think and give yourself affirmations and think about walking in and making a positive impact? Let's be blunt. Sometimes we have people who show up at work and just say, I just want to do my job and go home. I want to do the subsistent amount. So feedback, attitude. Now, let's think about engagement, being present, being ready, being physically and mentally attentive. How often are we in meetings, Zoom meetings, WebEx meetings, in-person meetings now, hopefully, and you see people rolling their eyes or showing discord of disagreement? So think about engagement. How often are we listening to someone, or how often are we thinking about what we want to say while someone's talking? And that can come at the fiber of teamwork in the workplace. We inherit those things. And I think about high school and I think about college. 8 to 10 years of time, people haven't been taught, formally taught. There's some things that are facilitated, but for the most part, they have not been taught to have a positive attitude, how to accept feedback, how to seek feedback. What does it mean to be professionally engaged in the workplace? What does it mean to be a great teammate? What does it mean to be a great teammate who goes above and beyond the call of duty? And I think about the workplace. We then hire these people, and how often do we hear people say things like, well, I just don't like that job. So they just kind of arbitrarily decide not to put out much effort. So think about that. We inherit these things. So as I was watching this documentary, and I was just shocked at how much money these parents were spending to get their kids into college. And as we were watching this, and we kept saying to ourselves, my wife and I, what are these kids going to feel about their parents when they're ostracized? They're embarrassed. They're viewed as rich, spoiled kids. Now, it's not just in Hollywood. I mean, how often in youth sports or theater and extracurricular activities do the parents come charging hard? And they say, my kid should play more. And they get upset and angry. And during this documentary, there was actually a parent who actually went to a high school guidance counselor who noticed something was wrong because this kid got put on a volleyball team full scholarship because the parents donated money. The kid had never played volleyball. So we have to realize one thing. We inherit some of these tendencies and these behavioral attributes. Now, what do we do about it? I think we also have to teach and work with coaches and teachers. And I'll never forget when my son was in high school, freshman year, he got cut from the baseball team. And I remember getting a number of phone calls from other dads saying, oh, you know the coach. Isn't his son your client at the Milwaukee Brewers baseball team? I said, yeah. And it was hard to watch. I'm not going to say it was easy. And he got cut. He didn't make the team. He was the only one of his friends not to make the team. And I bit my tongue and did I want to call the coach? Maybe a little bit, but I knew this would serve him well. And people have said, what did you say to the coach? I said, I've never said a word to the coach. We still go to games together. We're still buddies. His son is still my client and a great friend. And they said, well, why wouldn't you say something? I said, because I wasn't the coach. I wasn't at tryouts. I'm not a person who knows a lot about baseball. Why would I interfere and get my kid on the team and have him get ostracized by his teammates, knowing that I'm friends with the coach and having other kids and parents say, he only made the team because he's friends, right? That's our parent instinct, though. We want to go in and fix it. There's such a great value of not fixing it. So this documentary ends and these people are going to jail and they're getting fined and their kids are being made fun of. And some of the kids, honestly, I don't think knew what was going on, that their parents were pulling these strings. Now, look, we all do stuff for our kids. Yet I think as leaders, we have to realize something, that teamwork, being a great teammate, having a positive attitude and disposition, being fully engaged, actively listening, sharing, really learning from our teammates, understanding the value of feedback and realizing that feedback is a gift. As corny and cliche as that comes off, think about feedback. How often when we give feedback do we immediately see people's discord? We're not even professionals sometimes when our people receive feedback. Let's also be empathetic of one thing. We inherit these things. Not everybody, and I know that's a gross generalization, yet we do inherit some of these attributes, especially when people come right out of college or enter the workforce. So what do we do about it? I think we have to be empathetic. I think we have to ask historical questions such as, walk me through something you did in high school or college where you were really a great teammate. Now, maybe they can answer it. Maybe they can't. Remember, questions do two things. They give us as coaches and leaders clarity. It also helps them develop some self-awareness. Number two, have activities that facilitate these things. Facilitate being a great teammate. What would a great teammate do here? And then learning projects. These are the accountability actions. Ask people to come in. Come in every single week with one example of something you did where you went above and beyond the call of duty with a great attitude that represented being a great teammate. If we facilitate things, coaching isn't just talking, it's facilitating the experiences, because guess what? We've inherited some experiences. Let me know your thoughts.